Hey guys, welcome back to NFL Trading Room. My name is Ben, and today we've got another fun video for you. We're going to be going over my mock draft 3.0. Thank you guys so much for the love on the first mock draft, the second mock draft. We're going to start pumping these out more regularly as the draft cycle goes along. Really excited to dive into this one. Let's go ahead and get into it. And a quick disclaimer, the Big Ten is blocking all 22 film on YouTube. I guess they don't want people to see that they have good football players. So just keep that in mind. Won't be able to show clips for guys like Fernando Mendoza, Arvell, Reese, guys like that. But just keep that in mind as we go along in this mock draft. Let's dive in. And we're going to be starting at first overall with the New Orleans Saints. I have them going with Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza has been my quarterback one really since the mid part of the scouting cycle. He was my QB2 coming into the season out of summer scouting, but he is now my quarterback one. The Saints just flat out need a quarterback. Tyler Shuck didn't look very impressive in his debut this past Sunday, and Spencer Rattler I don't think played awful, but he did get benched. I just think it's time to go with the franchise guy there in New Orleans, and I think Fernando Mendoza encapsulates everything that you need in a franchise quarterback. He's a big frame, big arm, really accurate down the field, and has control both pre-snap and post-snap in that Indiana offense. I think it would be a seamless transition with him as the franchise guy. Next up with the Tennessee Titans here at number 2. The Titans need a pass rusher. Ruben Bain is who we're going to go with, the edge rusher out of Miami. The Titans traded away Draymond Jones at the deadline. Not that he was going to stop them from taking a guy like Ruben Bain, but that just makes that edge room all the more bare. Even though Draymond Jones was on a one-year contract, that just continues to highlight the need that the Titans have at pass rusher. Ruben Bain, even at 6'3", 275, a bit of a strange build for an edge rusher, but really explosive, really powerful off the ball, is proficient in both as a pass rusher and as a run defender, and he would be a very welcome sight for that Titans defense that really needs to start getting after the quarterback. Next up at number 3, the Jets are on the clock, and we're going to go with another quarterback. It is going to be Ty Simpson, the quarterback out of Alabama. He is my quarterback 2. The Jets, Justin Fields is not it, and I mean, Tyrod Taylor, I like Tyrod Taylor, but he's a career backup for a reason, for the most part. And Ty Simpson, even in the limited experience that he has just shown so much growth, so much poise, and the cerebral play that he puts on tape, both as a processor, with his accuracy. He's got the NFL arm. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. I just think he possesses everything that you would want in a franchise quarterback, and the Jets desperately need that. They sold the farm. They sold Sauce Gardner at the deadline. They sold Quinnen Williams. So they're going full rebuild right now. Why not go ahead and get your quarterback locked in right here when you've got a solid offensive line built up and a true wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson? Next up with the Miami Dolphins at 4th overall, we're going to go with wide receiver Jordan Tyson. I think Tyreek Hill's career in Miami is all but over. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. And Jalen Waddle, while he's a good player, is not a true wide receiver one. You could argue for quarterback here. I just don't know if the Dolphins are willing to get out of that Tua contract right now with the cap hit that they would be taking if they did get rid of him. So I chose to go with a true wide receiver one here in Jordan Tyson. 6'2", 195 pounds, can play both the X and the Z positions, in my opinion. Wins in all phases of the game. He's an excellent route runner. He's got good hands. He's physical at the catch point. He even gives effort as a run blocker, and he's a monster after the catch. Does everything you would want in your wide receiver one. Next up with the New York Giants at 5th overall, we're going to go back to the receiver well here, and we're going to go with Carnell Tate, the receiver out of Ohio State. This may have been my biggest miss in summer scouting. I was not high on Carnell Tate coming into the season. Not that I disliked him, but wasn't nearly as high on him as a lot of other people seemed to be. And man, has he proved me wrong. He has been absolutely awesome in 2025. Completely revamped his game. He's become that true X receiver that NFL teams desire. You put him next to Malik Neighbors, and that becomes a very dangerous passing attack. He can win in any phase of the game. He can win in the short game, get him the ball in the quick screen game, but he really excels down the field, especially in contested situations as well. But really improved overall as a player, and this would be an awesome weapon for Jackson Dart. Next up with the Browns at pick number 6. we're going to go with our third quarterback. It is going to be Dante Moore, yet another quarterback out of Oregon going to Cleveland for the second straight year. That quarterback room is a mess right now, regardless of if they trot out Dylan Gabriel for the rest of the season or move to Shadur Sanders. That QB room is a mess. I think they've got to lock in their franchise guy. Still don't know if Dante Moore is going to declare in this class or not. We will see. I think he can. He's inexperienced like Ty Simpson, but I think he still shows a lot of the growth in terms of processing and accuracy. Definitely has the arm. Maybe not the athlete that Ty Simpson is, but I'm also not drafting my quarterback to be an athlete. I want him to win from the pocket for the most part. And Dante Moore can absolutely do that. He's a surgeon from the pocket. Gets the ball out quick and on time, plays with excellent timing, understands the structure of the offense well, and Oregon puts a lot on his plate, certainly a lot more than they put on Dylan Gabriel's plate. So I think he could very well transition into that starting role pretty quickly. You do worry about the inexperience, but I think he's shown enough poise and the cerebralness that he plays with to be able to handle that transition. Next up with the Las Vegas Raiders at pick number 7, we're going to take who I think is the best player in this draft as of right now, and it is Arvell Reese, the linebacker slash edge rusher out of Ohio State. Arvell Reese just continues to dominate week in, week out, whether that's as an off-ball linebacker, whether that's as an edge rusher. I personally think he should make the transition to full-time edge rusher at the next level, but he could certainly be a really good linebacker as well. The Raiders really need both. I get they have Max Crosby, but you've got Malcolm Kuntz and Tyree Wilson battling for the other side of that pass rush. And Malcolm Kuntz has had some productive years, but he is coming off an injury, and I believe he's a free agent at the end of this year. And Tyree Wilson has been a complete first-round bust from a couple years ago. Arvell Reese could fill the linebacker spot. They do have a barren linebacker room, but he would also be an awesome edge next to Max Crosby and really make that a formidable pass rush, especially from the exterior. Next up with the Cincinnati Bengals at pick number 8, we're going to be going with who some might also consider the best player in this draft. He's certainly up there, and that is Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. We saw on Sunday how the Bengals lost to the Chicago Bears in embarrassing fashion defensively. Caleb Downs makes that tackle in all likelihood. You could argue certainly for offensive line here, they've got to protect Joe Burrow. But man, that defense is absolutely atrocious. So why not draft the smartest football player in this draft, arguably? Caleb Downs, he's an elite tackler at the safety position. Doesn't have a lot of the highlight hit sticks from some safeties, but he's a sure tackler as you're going to find at the safety position. Understands coverage as well. He triggers quick. He's he's not like the most athletic player, but he's able to play all over the field. He can play in the slot. He can play deep safety. He can play box safety. He can do it all, and he's certainly not a bad athlete. He is a very good athlete. And when they do throw his way, he does show incredible ball skills when the ball is in the air. So I think this would be an awesome pick for the Bengals. Shore up that back end with an elite safety. Next up with the Washington Commanders, we're going to have our third receiver of the top 10, if that tells you anything about how I feel about this receiver class, and that is Mekhi Lemon, the receiver out of USC. Started off the season red hot, has slowed down a little bit production-wise in recent weeks, but I still think you're seeing the same player on tape. I think he could play the Z, but probably transitions best as the slot receiver in that offense. Terry McLaurin is only aging, and he's had an injury-riddled 2025, and Deebo Samuel likely won't be there next season. So you've got to get some more juice in that receiver room to help out Jaden Daniels. Mekhi Lemon would be the perfect fit. I think he's the best route runner in this class, has great hands, is tough after the catch, and gives effort as a run blocker. Really does it all, even as an undersized receiver. Next up at pick 10, we've got the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm going to give them some pass rush help. It is going to be Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher out of Auburn. They did draft Mike Green in the second round last draft. Regardless of what you think about him off the field, which is terrible, awful situation of what went on with him off the field, and the Ravens chose to overlook that, which that's their decision, but he has not made up for it on the field. He has been really inefficient as a pass rusher, and nobody else in that Ravens edge room has done much of anything as well. They also traded Odafe Owe, who was going to be a free agent at the end of the year as well. but I think they're looking to reset that edge room. Why not grab a guy like Keldrick Falk, 6'6", listed at 285 pounds. I don't think he's 285, probably closer to that 270 range, but really athletic for his size, long arms, still pretty raw as a pass rusher, but has certainly taken a sizable step from last year as a pass rusher and still an effective run defender. I think this would be an awesome pick for the Ravens. They get that big edge that they're looking for to set the edge and rush the passer. Next up with the Los Angeles Rams at pick number 11. This is the pick from Atlanta that they got in the James Pierce trade in the 2025 draft. I have them going with corner here. It's going to be Mansour Delane, the quarterback out of LSU. Mansour Delane is awesome. 6 foot, 190 pounds. I think has solid length. It's not overly long arms, but just so quick in man coverage and has such an understanding in zone coverage. Plays well in both phases, has good ball skills when the ball is thrown his way, which is rare, and is a really good athlete. Has really improved from last season. There was a lot of hype going into the 2024 season that maybe he could be a top corner off the board. Didn't have the 2024 that he was looking for at Virginia Tech, but man, has he been awesome for LSU in 2025. And the Rams, while their defense is very good, I think they could definitely use a corner like Mansour Delane that would only make that defense more elite and help that elite defensive line get after the passer. Next up with the Arizona Cardinals at pick number 12, I've got them going offensive line here. And this may be a surprise, but I'm going to go with Caleb Tiernan, the offensive lineman out of Northwestern. Caleb Tiernan was a guy that I wasn't as high on as others coming into the season. I believe I had him as offensive tackle 9 in summer scouting. He is my OT1 as of right now, still working on getting a finalized grade for him. But as of now, he is my OT1. The one caveat with him, he has incredibly short arms. So that can certainly pose some issues for him, but he is a really good athlete. I think he's a dominant run blocker at times, but certainly really good regardless. And I think he's got quick feet in pass protection as well. Advanced hand placement, may have to move inside, but he is 6'7", so I do worry about that, especially with Kyler Murray at quarterback, but they may be moving on from Kyler Murray at quarterback, so we'll have to see with that. But I think this would be a great replacement for Jonah Williams at that right tackle position, and he's just overall a really good football player, really smart player, understands blocking schemes well, and would be a good tackle duo if he does stick there with Paris Johnson over there in Arizona. Next up with the Houston Texans, it's been as I've preached for pretty much every mock draft. It's Project Protect CJ Stroud, and I'm going to help them do that with the selection of Penn State guard Olavavega Iwane. That's a mouthful, but he is an awesome football player at Penn State. He is their left guard, really athletic, really strong player, proficient in both the run game and the pass game. I think the hand usage has gotten even better from last year, where last year he may have been more of a power-oriented player, and he still possesses that power, but he's refined his hand usage even more this year. Just would be awesome for that Texans offensive line. You can stick him on the left side next to Ariante Ursery, who has had some good performances at left tackle for a rookie, and start to build up that young side of that left offensive line, keep CJ Stroud clean, and I think that would help the run game as well. Next up with the Dallas Cowboys at pick number 14, I'm going to go with Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. They do have Javonte Williams, and he has been awesome this year, but he's on a one-year deal. I don't know that they're going to bring him back. They have a lot of players that they need to spend on this year. Number one is George Pickens at receiver. I think they have to re-sign him. But I think Jeremiah Love, even with Javonte Williams, Jeremiah Love is just a different level of player. Really, really explosive. Plays, with power. He's not afraid of contact. Really shifty. Has great vision. Is just a certified first-round running back for sure. And when he hits the open field, he's got that second gear to be able to finish big plays in the end zone. Would just be a great pick here for Dallas. Next up at pick number 15, the Minnesota Vikings will select Tennessee cornerback Jermod McCoy. Jermod McCoy still has not seen the field in 2025, recovering from that January ACL tear from a training session. So now he's approaching 10 months from surgery, so we'll see if he gets back on the field. to close the season for Tennessee, see if he can get a couple games under his belt. He has returned to practice in team sessions, though limited, so we'll see if that continues to build. But you look at his 2024 tape, and I would think that that's a top 5 player in this draft. Just really sticky in man coverage, elite eyes in zone coverage, plays the ball exceptionally well in the air, seeing as though he's a former wide receiver recruit. And just possesses all the things that you would want in a true shutdown corner. You can stick him opposite of Byron Murphy up there in Minnesota and have a really, really good cornerback duo for the Vikings in that Brian Flores defense. Next up, the Panthers are up at pick 16, and they need a pass rusher. We're going to take David Bailey out of Texas Tech. They did draft a couple of young edge rushers in last draft with Nick Scorton and Princely Umanmielen. But I think David Bailey is a step above either of those guys. Really effective pass rusher, possesses a diverse moveset. Not that a diverse moveset is objective number one. Really, you just want 2 to 3 moves that you can work off of each other. But David Bailey's got about 7 that he can use effectively. Really gets after the quarterback. Not much of a factor in the run game, but if you can get after the quarterback, you're going to likely go high. And I think David Bailey fits that pretty well. Just a really good athlete, flexible around the corner, and would just continue to build that Carolina defense and would really help them get after the passer, which they desperately need.
Quick break in the mock draft. If you guys wouldn't mind to go down below, drop a like, drop a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That will let us know that you're enjoying the content, and we'll continue to bring content like this to you throughout the draft season. Let's go ahead and get back into the mock draft.
Next up at pick number 17, the Kansas City Chiefs are here. Probably won't be here by the time the draft actually rolls around. They'll almost certainly be in the 20s at least. But though they are here right now, we're going to take Peter Woods, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Peter Woods hasn't been maybe the blue chip player that we expected coming into the season. He's still been a first round level player for sure, but hasn't been the truly dominant blue chip player that we may have expected. But still definitely worth of a first round pick. A really, really elite run defender, anchors well, sheds blocks well, an improving pass rusher with some really, really high end flashes. And would be just a dominant force next to Chris Jones in that Kansas City defense. And then you even have Omar Norman-Lott, the second rounder from this past draft that you can work in there in that defensive line room as well. Next up, the Bears are on the clock, and I'm going to go with another defensive tackle here, so back-to-back D tackles. We're going to go with Kristen Miller out of Georgia. The Bears, I think the pick here has to be defensive line, regardless of if that's edge or on the interior. I would personally go with Kristen Miller the way the board has fallen so far, and pair him with Gervon Dexter there on the inside, who has been a productive player. And if you get those two guys along with Montez Sweat on that defensive line, you can really start cooking with that pass rush. Kristen Miller, 6'4", 310 pounds, takes on a lot of responsibility for that Georgia defense. They ask him to play nose tackle a lot, even though he's more of a 3-tech style player, and he has played very well in that role. He's able to hold the point of attack against the run. He's able to shed and make splash plays in the backfield, and he's an improving pass rusher. Not necessarily a dominant pass rusher, but he has definitely taken steps in that area. I think he's absolutely a first-round caliber player, and I had him in my first round in the 2.0 mock draft, but he has ascended since then. Really would be a productive player, I think, in that Bears defense next to Gervon Dexter on the inside. Next up, the Cleveland Browns are back on the clock. This is the pick from the Travis Hunter trade with the Jaguars. And I'm going to go with Trevor Goosby, the offensive tackle out of Texas. You could certainly argue receiver here, but I chose to go with Trevor Goosby. You've really got an aging offensive line in Cleveland. You look at the tackle spots, it's Cam Robinson at left tackle and Jack Conklin at right tackle. Both guys are in their 30s. I believe Cam Robinson's contract is also expiring. And Trevor Goosby would be able to transition into that left tackle spot pretty seamlessly. Hasn't taken like the blue chip step that I may have expected coming into the season. I had him as the first overall pick in my summer mock draft. But still a first round player to me. really advanced hand usage for his age, possesses the length that you need, an athletic player, and has some really dominant reps in the run game as well. I think this would be a really solid pick for Cleveland to protect their franchise quarterback, Dante Moore. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. You could certainly argue for quarterback here, but like I said in the last mock draft, I'll believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to retire when I see it. So for now, I'm going to get Aaron Rodgers a weapon. I'm going to go with Chris Bell, the receiver out of Louisville. 6'2", 227 pounds, just an absolute freak physical profile, and can absolutely run. He can run for days. And even with a guy with as much straight line speed and as big of a player as he is, he changes direction really well for someone of that profile. And man, you get the ball in his hands, it's usually lights out after the catch. There's not many people in the secondary that can keep up with him. And you add that dynamic along with DK Metcalf, you've got a physical, big receiving core, both that possess deep speed. That would be a really dangerous combination for the Steelers, and you can get away from those 3 tight end sets that they have been running quite a bit recently. Next up, at pick 21, the Detroit Lions are on the clock. I've been consistent with this. I think this pick has to be corner. I would go with Colton Hood still as of right now. He did have a bit of a hamstring injury against Kentucky, but came back and played pretty well against Oklahoma. But he has really stepped into that cornerback 1 role with the injury that Tennessee has had to Jermon McCoy and to Ricky Gibson, the other corner from there as well. Colton Hood has been fantastic for them all season. Just a redshirt sophomore, so could theoretically come back to school. I don't think he needs to. I think he's proven enough as a player to be able to declare for the draft. Just has good ball skills, plays with good timing, is aware of the sideline as an extra defender. Better in man coverage, I think, but still productive in zone coverage, and is just always around the football. He scored 2 defensive touchdowns this year. Now it was on a sack fumble where he picked it up, and then on a tipped interception, but still he's finding his way into the end zone, always around the football, and he is really physical, firing up on receivers again in the screen game, taking on blocks and shedding. He's very physical in that aspect of the game, and I love to see that out of boundary corners. I think this would be a very welcome sight for Detroit. Terrion Arnold has not played well. DJ Reed's a good player, but he is aging, getting into his late 20s, getting ready to get into his 30s as well. So getting a young corner here that's proficient in man and zone, I think would be a welcome sight for Detroit. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers are on the board, and I'm going to take maybe the most consistent offensive line prospect in this draft so far. That is Francis Mauigoa, the right tackle out of Miami. Francis could certainly move to guard. I think he could be a good tackle in the NFL, but I think he could be like an all-pro guard. And that would be perfect for the Chargers. You've got, when healthy, Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt at either tackle. That is probably the best tackle duo in the NFL. I don't even think I have to say probably. I think that's definitely the best tackle duo when healthy in the NFL. But man, you move Francis Mauigoa into either right guard or left guard, and you've got, I think, another all-pro level player on that offensive line. And the Chargers, with the injury to Rashawn Slater, and Joe Alt's been banged up as well this season, they have really struggled to protect Justin Herbert, and a decent amount of that pressure is coming from the interior. Mekhi Becton has been there, and he's been really good, so you can have him at right guard, and then you can put Mauigoa at left guard, and you've got a great offensive line there. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock. I've been consistent with this one too. I think it's got to be defensive tackle. I chose to go with Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. The 49ers interior defensive line is pretty barren. They did take Alfred Collins and CJ West, 2 players that I liked in this past draft, but they're still coming along. And Caden McDonald is 6'3", 325 pounds, strong as an ox, anchors really well, and is able to shed blocks pretty effectively in the run game. I don't think he makes a ton of plays in the backfield per se, but man, he is a space eater. Really eats up double teams doesn't get moved off his spot easily at all. And still will make splash plays in the backfield as well. I don't see much as a pass rusher right now. I think he has the tools to be able to do that. He's not, I'd say he's probably at best an average athlete for his size. But I still think with his length and his hand usage, he can make some stuff work as a pass rusher. Will probably never be a good pass rusher from the interior, but could be a serviceable pass rusher from the interior. And you combine that with elite run defense, I think it's worthy of a first round pick and would be, in my opinion, an immediate starter in that 49er defense. Next up, the Cowboys are back on the clock with the selection from the Packers in the Micah Parsons trade. And I'm going to go with corner here. I'm going to go with Keith Abney out of Arizona State, the cornerback. Just an awesome player. He was a guy that I was really high on in the summer. I believe I had him as a top 20 player, if I'm remembering correctly. And like I've mentioned with a lot of these corners, he's got good ball skills. He's really, really good in man coverage, still good in zone coverage as well. Always around the football, always making plays on the ball. Keith Abney, you put him with on that boundary with probably Deron Bland, I think, is who they would play at that outside corner. Trayvon Diggs has had a rough 2025, and I believe he's injured now as well. So getting some young infusion into that Dallas cornerback room would really help that defense. I think Keith Abney fills that role perfectly. Next up, the Bills are on the clock. I'm going to go with receiver out of Texas A&M, Casey Concepcion. Casey Concepcion is so fun to watch as a player. Whether you're watching him on offense or as a returner, he just makes electrifying plays Saturday after Saturday. He would add a dynamic to that Bills offense that they don't really have right now. Khalil Shakir is a very good receiver, but he's purely a slot receiver. You could argue that Casey Concepcion is too, but I think he could play the Z for sure. And you can move him all over their formation. You can get him the ball in the screen game, jet sweeps, touch passes in motion, or you could use him as a deep threat. He really gets deep down the field with speed and takes the top off the defense pretty regularly. Marcel Reed, the quarterback at Texas A&M, has missed him a couple times down the field, especially earlier in the season. So his production could be through the roof right now if they connected on those. But Casey Concepcion is just such a fun player. Still cleaning up the drop rate. It has improved from last year, but it's still a little bit high. But just what he does after the catch, what he can do as a route runner, just excels in a lot of the phases of the game that the Bills could desperately use right now. I think Josh Allen would love having Casey Concepcion as a target.
Hey guys, it's a new day. Part of the previous recording got corrupted, but we are going to finish this. So we're picking back up with the Seahawks pick here at 26, and we're going to go with Utah right tackle Spencer Fano. Fano was a top 5 player for me coming into the season, and that was mainly based on I thought he was a great athlete, which he still is. I thought he showed signs in pass protection of getting to that elite level potentially, and he was maybe one of the best run blockers that I've ever seen at the college level. This year, it's a little bit different. He's been really, really good in pass protection. He's still a fantastic athlete, but the run game tape hasn't been necessarily what it was last year. So there is some concern there. I'm still, a believer in the traits there. Does still need to put on weight and may not have the length that it takes to stick at tackle, but I think he can stick at tackle. What you could do if you're Seattle, they've got Abe Lucas at right tackle. He can never stay healthy, it seems like. So if they decide to move on from him at that point, then Fano can slide right into right tackle, or you can move him into the interior. They did that with Gray Zabel, their first-round pick in 2025, and he's been playing pretty well. You could move Fano into either right guard or to center. I think he could play center at the next level, but there are still some anchor concerns there if you were to move him to the interior. So very, very fun player, but definitely an interesting discussion to be had there that I didn't necessarily think was there coming into the season. But moving on to pick 27 with the Los Angeles Rams back on the clock, and they're going to be selecting what is a bit of a my guy, well, definitely a my guy as of right now, and that is Arizona State offensive tackle, Max Ihenikour, I think is how you say it. Um, but he was a guy that I hadn't graded in the summer. I had seen him peripherally, and I had seen some people talk about him, mainly as like a day three type grade. And he is a redshirt senior, so he does have to declare this year. But man, I turned on the tape recently, and still working on a finished grade for him. He actually right now would grade out as my tackle one if I gave him a grade right now, but got to get through some more games of tape with him. But just a really, really good athlete. You look at the Texas Tech tape, Romello Height and David Bailey have made a season off of beating tackles to the landmark. And Max Ihenikour has he mirrored them pretty much perfectly throughout that game. His pass protection tape in that game was fantastic. You don't see a lot of the first round traits as a run blocker that you may want to see, but I don't think that's a strength problem because he's very strong in his pass set when taking on a bull rush or something like that. So um, I just think you bet on the athleticism here. He's got the length, he's got the grip strength. He's able to latch on and hold on to defenders, doesn't fall off blocks easily. This is a guy that's definitely a riser for me. And we'll see where he ends up once I get a finished grade on him, but really, really awesome player to watch and a guy that I was really surprised by. Next up, the Broncos are on the clock at pick 28. And there were some discussions last year about could they be in play for Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren. Of course, they picked at 20, so they probably weren't going to see either fall to them. But they have been looking for that Joker role tight end, and I think Kenyon Sadiq is the perfect pick here. Kenyon Sadiq is an awesome player. Um, really gives effort in the run game as a blocker. He's not the most physically imposing guy at 6'3", 245 pounds, but he absolutely gives effort as a run blocker, and it shows on the tape. But beyond that, he is an exceptional athlete. Still refining, some of the finer points of his game. But you put him in that Denver offense and a lot of those quick RPO style schemes with Bo Nix getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And I think that's what they kind of envisioned with Evan Ingram this year, but I believe he's been a little banged up as well, and he's getting up there in age. But Kenyon Sadiq would be just a seamless transition there, and you'd get the added benefit of having the run blocking of Sadiq over the lack thereof of Evan Ingram. So I think that would be a perfect pick. Get that Joker tight end in there for Sean Payton's offense. Next up, the Buccaneers are on the clock. I've been a proponent for them taking edge rusher here, but I went in a different direction here. I went with Ohio State linebacker Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is awesome. Safety convert, 6'4", I believe 240 pounds. A great athlete, great feel for zone coverage, and has really cleaned up the tackling this year as well. That was something that was a concern for me coming into the season. The missed tackle rate was high, and the technique wasn't always there. But this year, much more sure of a tackler. And you've got Levante David there, who's just seems to not go away. He's aging like fine wine. Maybe not the All-Pro that he was, a few years ago, but still a very productive player and a serviceable player in the middle of that defense at, I believe, 35 years old at this point. But man, you get Sonny Styles in that room. He gets to learn from Levante David and compete with Servassier Dennis, who has been a nice young player for them. And you could really see Sonny Styles and Servassier Dennis be a really good linebacker duo in that Todd Bowles defense once Levante David does end up stepping away here in a few years, I would assume. But man, Sonny Styles, that would be an awesome scheme fit in Tampa Bay's defense. Next up, the Patriots are on the clock, and I'm going to go with edge rusher here. Is going to be edge rusher Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Cassius Howell is a little bit of a physical outlier. He's got very short arms, and I believe we have a verified measurement on that. I think it's 31 inches on the arm length, which is very short for an edge rusher. But he wins anyway. He's got a nasty spin move. He's got a wicked ghost move. He is explosive off the edge, and he's a lot better in the run game than even I gave him credit for in the summer. Is not getting driven off the ball like he did last year as much, and just absolute ball of fire as a pass rusher off the edge. And you look at what he can do in coverage, that Mike Vrabel defense, they're dropping their edge rushers into zone quite a bit. And Cassius Howell can absolutely do that. He's had multiple plays in coverage where you wonder if that's like a safety or a linebacker in man coverage. No, it's a 250-pound edge rusher. But yeah, Cassius Howell, great athlete, understands how to use his hands, knows that he's got two dominant moves and goes to them often, and just knows how to win as a pass rusher. That would be a really good fit for New England. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock at 31, and I'm going to go back-to-back edge rushers here. This is who I mocked to them in my last mock draft. It is going to be Joshua Josephs, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. Joshua Josephs is a really, really fun player. He's got insanely long arms, I believe right at 35 inches verified. At just 6'3", 240 pounds, you don't see that type of arm length typically for someone that's not 6'5", 6'6", that range. But he is explosive off the edge, uses his arm length well, still cleaning up some of the hand placement stuff as a pass rusher, but uses a pretty wicked hook move to get back there to the quarterback, uses it very often. And he just makes big time plays. There was a strip sack against Georgia where it should have sealed the game for Tennessee on third down. There was a strip sack against Arkansas that led to a score for Tennessee that ended up being the deciding factor in that game. And there was a scoop and score by him against Mississippi State that ended up sending that game to overtime in the fourth quarter. All those plays happened in the fourth quarter. He comes up huge when it matters, and he's a lot better run defender as well than people give him credit for. He's not just some designated pass rusher. He'll absolutely stand in there and stack an offensive tackle when he needs to. Most tight ends can't block him in the run game either. So just a really, really fun player. I think that'd be a perfect fit for that Philadelphia defense that needs edge help big time. Next up, we've got the New York Jets back on the clock. This is the pick they got from the Colts in the Sauce Gardner trade at the trade deadline just a few days ago. And I'm going to go with a corner replacement here. Of course, you can't replace Sauce Gardner necessarily, but I'm going to have them go with Clemson cornerback Avion Terrell, as that goes to the grading there. But Avion Terrell is such an awesome player to watch. He really has that Charles Tillman type thing to him where he just punches the ball out, it seems, when you least expect it, whether that's in the run game, whether that's chasing a receiver from behind in the screen game. Just has a knack for making that type of play, and that was apparent on his 2024 tape as well. So that is something to watch with him. He is a little bit undersized at 5'11", 180 pounds, but I think he makes up for that for the way he plays with physicality on the outside. I don't think he has to move to slot corner. He definitely could, but I don't think that's a must for him. I think he can stick on the outside as an outside corner, and I think he would fit perfectly in that scheme up there with New York. Be that outside corner. Obviously not going to replace Sauce Gardner, but you still get a really talented young player there, and you got assets for the future on top of that with some additional picks as well. So I think this would be a nice move by the Jets. And that does it for this 2026 NFL Mock Draft 3.0. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys wouldn't mind to go down below, drop a like, drop a comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That would just let us know that you're enjoying the content, and we'll continue to bring more content like this to you throughout the draft season. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching.